All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Nadler with the National Weather Service here in Peachtree City, Atlanta, with our 2 p.m. special weather briefing on the potential for winter weather again across the area, potentially towards the end of the week into this weekend. I want to kind of get out ahead of it. I know these briefings seem like they're becoming a little bit more routine, but tis the season to see winter weather across the area. All right. So here's sort of the overview. We are looking at. I want to first say this system is very different than what we were dealing with last week. Last week was a very powerful, intense low pressure system. This is more of a Arctic boundary overrunning event. You may hear us talk about overrunning, where moisture kind of rides up over top of a colder air at the surface, setting the stage for various types of wintry precipitation. So what it's looking like, and I'll show you here, I'll show this kind of the setup here in just a second. We could see multiple rounds of wintry precipitation across the area sometime as early as late Thursday afternoon, evening, all the way through Saturday. I'm not saying that we're going to have 2 days worth of winter weather, but because of the uncertainty on the timing of these sort of waves moving across the area, that's why we have kind of a broad window for when we could see some sort of wintry precipitation. And I mentioned there that confidence is increasing that we'll see something somewhere across the area with respect to winter impacts, but our confidence at the moment is pretty low on exactly where and when, mainly due to the high level uncertainty amongst the models once again. And it's that's just what we're dealing with at the moment. But we do know there are a few things in play, and based off of what we're seeing right now, we'll try to give you sort of our best guess as to what's going to happen over the next few days. One thing I did want to also note is that contrary to last week's event, the potential impacts, winter impacts, could set up farther south into middle Georgia this time, whereas the last event was more across North Georgia, north of I-20. So those of you on this call that are south of I-20 might want to pay a little bit more attention because you guys might be more under the gun with this event. Okay, so here's the first little factor, I guess, is the cold air. We're going to be looking at a very cold Arctic boundary moving across the area sometime Thursday into Friday. So this is a snapshot of where we expect the boundary to be around like Thursday morning. But then if I fast forward about 24 hours later into Friday morning, you see the 20s and 30s are well across north and central Georgia by Friday morning. So that's really one of the big things is, will the cold air be in place? And we feel most confident actually that yes, the cold air will be in place across much of the area ahead of this system. So you can see the cold air up to the north and west. You got single digits, teens, and 20s. So very, very cold air mass approaching from the north and west. That's going to sort of filter across the area by Friday morning. So that's sort of factor number one. Factor number two is the moisture. How much moisture will be coming in ahead and along this boundary? So the first thing I did want to bring up is that with the front sort of crossing the area sometime Thursday, we do expect an initial round of precipitation to affect the area. We do think that this will mostly be rain because for the most part, temperatures are going to be above freezing and warm enough with that initial round. But then it's the subsequent energy behind the front as it moves across the area late Thursday into Friday and then on into Saturday that we're most concerned about. So basically, this is what the moisture profiles look like on Thursday. So this is what we call precipitable water. This time of year, anything over like a half to 3/4 of an inch is pretty good to squeeze out some precipitation down to the ground. So you can see out ahead of the front, we're over an inch. Then as the front moves across the area by Friday morning, a lot of that deeper moisture where it's over an inch is sort of pushed to the south, but there's still a pretty good area of sufficient moisture in the atmosphere to support precipitation Friday morning as the colder air starts to move across the area. So that's kind of the factor number two. Factor number three is what the actual low pressure system is going to do. And this is going to be sort of driven by more of an upper level system, like 10, 15,000 feet up into the atmosphere. So this is where really the uncertainty with timing and how much, and will it be dry, or will the moisture be in place with the colder air? It's really kind of predicated on whether or not what this upper low is going to do. And you can see as of this morning, one model, like Model A on the left, has a pretty well defined upper low across like Middle Tennessee. This could mean that the moisture could shove to the east and south of us, which would leave us in sort of like a drier pattern for Friday and the Saturday. And though impacts, we may still see some wintry precipitation, it's not going to be as potentially significant as what some of the other models are showing. So that's one model. The other model on the right, Model B, shows the same low, but it's sort of split. One piece of energy is over across like the Ohio Valley, and then the other piece of energy is coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. This seems, the solution on the right seems to be where some of the model ensembles, we call them, are coming into play to suggest that this could be more of a slower, longer duration type situation where we could see more widespread winter impacts across the area by Friday and the Saturday, versus the Model A on the left, which is showing a more defined, deeper upper level system that kicks everything out by Friday. So, but there's a lot of uncertainty with this. So hopefully by tomorrow, we're able to see some things phase a little bit more. But as it stands now, this is what we're dealing with. So given that, and like I said, we're leaning more towards the, not the upper low not being as deep, being more stretched, having longer time to send moisture over the top of the area. This is where we expect basically from late Thursday all the way through Saturday, sometime in that 36 to 48 hour window, where we expect wintry precipitation to occur and where the impacts are going to be. So basically, anywhere in the blue is where we, if anything does happen, it'll probably be in the form of some light snow, because the colder air will be a little bit deeper than it will be across the rest of the area. Anywhere in pink, including Metro Atlanta, this is where we expect more potential of like light freezing rain or rain, possibly mixing with snow at times across the I-85 corridor, sometime Friday into Saturday. And then in that purple shaded area, basically east of I-75, south of I-85, and along the I-20 corridor, north of I-16. This is where if things do come together sort of in a worst case scenario, which some of the models are showing, this is where we could see some higher, more significant freezing rain and ice accumulations develop by Friday into Saturday. So anywhere like along I-20 and even south towards the Macon area and to the east towards the South Carolina state line, we're really going to have to watch this area over the next couple of days to see how things evolve. Farther south across our far southeast counties, you're kind of in that light green area where it'll probably more of a rain event for you, but there could be, if enough shallow cold air gets across the entire area, there could be a small risk of seeing freezing rain all the way down to our far southeast counties in middle Georgia by late Friday into Saturday. So not to exclude you, but less of a risk at this point, more of a risk definitely over parts of middle and then into east central Georgia at this time. One thing I do want to point out as well, again, this is subject to change. This is sort of just painting what we're thinking is going to happen and sort of what to prepare for, at this point, as based off of what we're seeing. So definitely we're going to fine tune and change this graphic just a little bit over the next 24 hours. But this is what we're seeing at this point. And then we showed this graphic last week because we were dealing with a sort of a mixed precipitation scenario. But again, plus or minus 1 degree from the ground all the way up to about 4,000 or 5,000 feet means a lot of difference between whether or not we see snow, freezing rain, or just a cold rain. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of moving parts. As you know, weather changes every minute, and we're looking at something that's still 48 to 72 hours out. So again, we just did want to do this briefing to make sure everybody was prepared at least for what the potential could be later on in the week into the weekend. Again, we're not really, snow accumulations are out there, but we're looking at more of an ensemble blend of models and kind of thinking like, yeah, that looks possible. As the map, the impact maps or graphic that I showed you a little while ago showed, where we could see snowfall is probably going to be more over far north Georgia, where the colder air will be a little bit deeper as the moisture comes in from the south and west. So as it stands now, 1 to 2 inches, maybe some locally higher amounts across far north Georgia with this system. Again, subject to change, but this is kind of what we're seeing. A couple of different models are in fairly good agreement with potential snowfall at this point with this system, basically Friday into Saturday evening. Whoops, wrong way. As far as ice goes, again, this is probably going to be the main player, especially across parts of east central Georgia along I-20, I-85, and even farther south towards the I-16 corridor. At this point, again, don't focus in on the numbers, but this is where we could see at least up to 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation with locally higher amounts Friday into sometime late Thursday night, Friday into early Saturday. One of the models I did want to show you, again, don't get locked into it, but this is a recent model run that's showing 1/4 or more of an inch of ice accumulation across an area south of I-20 and along I-16 and just south of there, even coming out of South Carolina. So it's out there. And if, again, big if, but if the cold air is in place over this area, which we expect it to be by Friday into Friday night, and there's enough moisture to kind of come up over top of this cold air with the system, then we could be dealing with a wider spread or widespread higher impact freezing rain ice situation for parts of middle and even northeast Georgia by Friday into Saturday. So that is kind of what we're looking at. And again, there's not, again, we can't get into fine tune too much at this point, being that given the uncertainty and exactly that we're still, more than 48 hours out from this evolving system, more or less. But we did want to make sure everybody was aware of the potential and kind of the setup and the different factors that are involved in what's going to sort of drive the forecast over the next couple of days with the Arctic boundary, the moisture coming in off the Gulf, and the upper level pattern to see how it shapes up over the next couple of days. And we should have a better idea by tomorrow, like later tonight into tomorrow, with more successive model information coming in as to what's going to happen later in the week. So with that, we are going to, more than likely, we are going to do a briefing tomorrow at set up for the same time, 2 o'clock. And again, we will, this is being recorded, so we will share this with everybody that couldn't make the actual live briefing.